Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Plus16, 2Plus2's monthly live webinar series. Thank you for taking the time to join us. We know that you're busy. As always, we intend to pack meaningful data into an efficient 30-minute time frame. Drop any questions that you might have into the chat as we go along, and we'll take some time for Q&A at the end. We'll be recording this session, so we'll send out that at the end of the discussion. My name is Kathy Dew, and I'm CEO and Information Architect for 2Plus2 Partners. Today we're talking about the best practices to deliver relevant intranet content to employees. So let's get started. In today's webinar, we're going to walk through the case for being strategic about global versus local with your enterprise intranet. What exactly do we mean by local versus global? The 5 best practices for intranet and delivering meaningful content and features. We're going to include live examples along the way, and we're going to make a case for why technology matters. So let's get started. Your organization is committed to an intranet. You've made significant investment in technology, you've got management's commitment, and you have tons of content and features. Personalization will require more investment of resources, time, and commitment. So why go the extra mile? Because you want your intranet to be valuable to your employees. You really do. Organizations are complicated. They can be highly structured in terms of departmental hierarchy, but often they also have an overlay of initiatives, people, products, and services that cross departmental lines. Probably the biggest complaint we hear from our clients' intranet users, aka the employees, is, I can't find my stuff. And it's easy to understand why. Couple this complexity of the organization with the fact that employees have a broad range of what's important to them. Staff employees don't care about the same things that management does. Finance staff have different needs and interests from manufacturing personnel that primarily work on the production floor. Sales reps in local offices don't share the same set of goals or information needs as global marketing located at corporate headquarters. On top of that, without an automated way to filter content, email is still the go-to platform for many of the exchanges that happen on a local level. You know, the baby shower, the fun run for a local charity, the discount at a local gym. Having a one-size-fits-all approach can easily and often does result in a feeling that the intranet isn't relevant to me. Instead, you want an intranet that is valuable to employees, supports their work, and delivers a personal experience. That is exactly why you go to the next level and deliver personalized content and features. That's why bother. But how do you do that? Great question. But before we go there, let's talk about what exactly is global versus local in terms of your intranet. What is global content? When we say global versus local, we're really talking about common information that is shared across the staff, or global, and information that's specific to groups or individuals, or local. In the context of an intranet, when we say global, we mean information and features that are important and relevant to everyone, all employees. You can think of global as relating to the company as a whole. This might include corporate communications, messages from the CEO, newsletters that might be company-wide, they might be from HR or wellness, news in general, such as customer success stories or new product launches, corporate mission and strategy and vision. Another class of content that is global is what I call company-wide evergreen content. This is content that doesn't change on a regular basis. It is important though, and it is important to describe who and what the company is. This might be per department. It might be about your products and services. It might include global policies and procedures, or a list of locations or offices that make up your company. Tools also fall into this category, things like a staff directory, or core functions and systems within HR or finance, or even the IT help desk. You can think of global as content that is public within the organization. This information really provides a starting place for organizing your intranet. Now let's talk about local. So what is local? Let's contrast this global idea with what is local. Local in the context of your intranet encompasses anything that is specific to a subset of employees, which may be a subset of one. It provides a way to start identifying and organizing information that is meaningful to a group. This is the beginning of making the intranet experience more personal. The first and most obvious definition of local content is indeed based on location, or where the employee is physically located. Geography plays a significant role in defining local when your organization has multiple physical presences, and especially if your organization is international. As an employee, your local office has its own news, events, new hires, help desk contacts, emergency contacts, facility information, and the ever-popular lunch menu. But employees have other affinities that can be used to define what is meaningful or local to me. Let's go through those. The first I want to talk about is the market or region the employee works for. For instance, Canada or Latin America or Asia Pac, which is similar to, but it's really a roll-up of location. There may be messages or events or other announcements that are specific to my region. There also may be distinct differences in HR information that is solely based on geography. For example, one of our clients has a number of offices in the United States, and while 401 benefits are the same across the nation, health benefits really differ in terms of carrier or provider and in actual coverage. For example, here in California, we have military benefits for military spouses as well as special commuter benefit programs. Another axis is the division or product line that the employee works for. For example, one of our clients has two primary divisions in the company, garden and pet. This really provides a high-level focus that may be across locations and functional departments, which leads us to the next axis, the department the employee works for, such as IT or HR or sales and marketing. Within a department or group, there's information that's really only relevant or of interest to the people who actually work in that department. In many intranets, this can also be a jumping-off place for team sites, which are completely private to a team. It's important to remember that this is really the employee's professional dimension. As such, it includes processes and knowledge sharing that's specific to that dimension. This information is probably not helpful or interesting even to people outside of that department, but it can really make your intranet a viable place. Then there are initiatives, projects, special interest communities that cross departments and possibly locations. This becomes another attribute that can be used to identify content and features that are local or specific for an employee. These are a little trickier to model and sometimes get missed because they don't show up on the org chart, but they are a vital part of an intranet feeling like it is relevant to someone's work. An example is one of our clients has several UK locations that span functions from production to inventory and manufacturing to corporate office functions. Their intranet features a manufacturing community where staff from any of the physical locations can get involved with that subgroup. There are regular meetings, elected representatives, and ongoing communications and events. So we've talked about global, but what about language and culture? The first thing I really want to say is culture is not location. In fact, we wrote a whole blog about that, which I'll include in the link for the transcript to this particular webinar. We've talked about global and local in the context of information relevance to the overall organization, global versus what is specific to a smaller group of employees. Now let's spend a few minutes on global and local from a culture and language perspective. The general rule is you need to think about location first. A location may indeed have a different language, but don't confuse the two. Be sure to separate your global corporate intranet's language from the physical location of the employee. Now let's talk semantics. In the world of the web, the term culture encompasses not only the language, but really some formatting like dates and numbers. One of the many challenges in building a global intranet is that even if a set of employees share the same culture, they don't always share the same physical location. For example, the United States employees of the company may live in Los Angeles, Austin, or New York. While they share the same culture, which is English US, they don't share the same geographic region and therefore have different needs for display. These geographic demarcation lines can scale between state, county, and even buildings or campuses. And while your CMS can display content based on the culture code provided by the browser to deal with language and formatting, it has no way of knowing the physical location of the employee without an assist. Your intranet should track each employee's home office. We'll talk a little bit later about the mechanics to do this. Now I think we're ready to delve into the top 5 best practices for delivering an intranet that your employees will love. Number 1, do exactly what we've just been talking about. Actually deliver relevant content and features. My location, my groups, my apps, my needs. The biggest factor in pulling this seemingly impossible task lies in personalizing the experience for your employees. Note that I've used the term personalize and not customize. Personalize happens automatically. Based on a few key user attributes, the system delivers the content that is specific to the employee. Customization, on the other hand, is up to the user. The system allows the employee to set up colors, rearrange content on the screen, or indicate interest in specific topics. Personalization is the most important, make no mistake. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But customization can definitely contribute to employees' feeling of ownership and engagement. For one client, their brand includes 6 vibrant colors. For their team sites, we implemented 2 different visual themes for presenting the team site. We implemented a warm theme using oranges and reds and yellows. Then we developed a cool theme using greens and blues and purples. Users can easily flip between these 2 options. But let's get back to personalization and how the system can be designed to automatically deliver that content. As we discussed earlier, the employee's physical location is probably the most significant opportunity for personalization. Based on the home office, the system can be configured to deliver local news and events that are happening in my office or nearby. And with local editors, the Intranet can become the forum for social activities, employee milestones, charity initiatives, and new employee introductions, and even the local lunch menu. Local variations of any of the core services, specifically benefits, which often vary by geography. Other information about the employee can be used to filter content and deliver value. Department news can be specific to the employee's department. The employee's role or title may also result in more or less content. For example, managers may have access to specific tools that support evaluations and career paths for their staff. Another angle of targeting content for each and every employee can be based purely on the opting into a particular feed of interest. Of course, if your organization is multinational, then local content will also be delivered in the local language. Depending on the size of your organization, global content may be translated into the local language. We have some clients that deliver all local content in the local language, but global content is in English. After all, they are a US-based company. Other clients have the budget and commitment to deliver even global content in the local language. Most enterprise-level CMS platforms have special workflows to support translation, whether it's internal to the organization or outsourced to an external entity. On to number 2, establish a schedule for publishing. Now that you've committed to delivering content that is personalized, you need to commit to actually developing that content. The other aspect of making this happen is to nurture a diverse group of content editors that will push content on a regular basis. If possible, you should establish a local editor for each office or region, each department, each initiative. This really accomplishes 2 major goals. One, the effort to publish good content on a routine basis is now shared among a larger group of content developers. Also, by having someone local, you're practically ensuring that the content will be interesting and meaningful. Keeping employees engaged and giving them a reason to sign on to the Intranet depends on knowing that there will be new information on a reasonably regular basis. Setting up schedules for publishing ensures that there is a constant stream of new and engaging information. The next important best practice is really to support your employees' workflow. So far, we've been focused on content, but there is more than just keeping up with the local news and events to making this successful. There's also an opportunity for making the Intranet personal and relevant in the features and functions that can be easily accessed by each employee. This can be as simple as providing links to the applications and tools that I am most likely to use based on my department. This might be a combination of internally hosted applications and external resources. Going deeper into workflow, we haven't talked yet about team sites, but these are very focused collaboration sites that support a department, project, or initiative. Top features of team sites are number 1, documents. These are often the ones that are work products for the team. They're typically not accessible to anyone outside of the team, but they're really critical to getting my job done. There might be calendars of events that are specific to the team, including team meetings, training, conferences, and other outreach opportunities. The next level is tasks, which are typically not as detailed as like a Microsoft project plan, but they're coordinating tasks that can help the overall function of the team. Then there are announcements or short items that keep the team apprised of activities within the group. Depending on the platform and culture of the organization, the intranet might serve up a combination of team site content along with company content, be it global or local. This might all show up on my homepage when I sign on. Imagine seeing the latest from the CEO, meeting a new employee in my office, and also seeing task assignments for the coming up week. I'll make a side note here. Don't worry about team site information showing up for the wrong group. These team sites are always security trimmed down to the individual's related security group, so no one would ever see information for another team or person. The fourth best practice is really to build a global community. While it's great to have all this relevant local content, you can also provide visibility to the full scope of the company by allowing employees a view into other locations. I use that in air quotes. This is easily accomplished by including a location drop-down, which in effect allows employees to see the intranet as a colleague in another location, another country, and possibly in another language. Note that team site information will only show up for the employee that has access to that content. The point here is giving employees a view into other parts of the organization can help build a sense of the larger goals and mission of the organization. Before we go into the fifth best practice, I want to talk a little bit about mechanics. What does it take to actually make this happen? In order to provide geographic or location-dependent content personalization on your corporate intranet, the first step is really to analyze your company's structure and design a location hierarchy that makes sense. A location hierarchy allows content to be tagged at the appropriate geographic level and provide a roll-up of the content if needed. For example, content tagged for Los Angeles as a city can also appear on pages tagged with California as a state and on pages tagged with US as a country. Once you have a location hierarchy category designed, you need to set this up in your CMS so that content editors can tag the content appropriately. You will have to make some decisions about inheritance both up and down the location hierarchy. I will tell you that our experience is that the most flexible option is to not inherit at all and instead explicitly tag at each level. Within a corporate intranet, the authentication of the employee has taken place before they visit the intranet. This is typically true. Therefore, your CMS knows who is visiting along with the culture code provided by the browser. I have two now of the main components I need for my intranet to serve up relevant content. The next step, though, is to figure out if your corporate authentication service, i.e. Active Directory, actually contains the physical location information about every employee. If so, then you can import that location information directly into your CMS. If not, you'll need to request that information from the user on their first visit. This can be accomplished with a very simple one-time pop-up to collect that information. This works really well, and we've implemented that for a couple of our clients. This information is then saved in their CMS user profile and can be used for content filtering moving forward. It's important to remember that the quality of AD information varies greatly. The effort to get location right for an employee may be easy and seamless, or it may not be. Now that you have the geographic information about the employee, you can display content specific to their region or location. Besides company news and events, you can provide weather, traffic, and other location-dependent features. But the real win comes with the ability to serve up very specific content within a page that is targeted for that location. For example, now you can display local departmental contacts in a sidebar for each department. You can still have the global up at the top, but now each person's local contacts will vary. This is without designing a completely new page, but letting the code take care of that for you. Even if there's only one culture for your website or corporate intranet, you can leverage a well-designed location scheme to greatly increase the value and meaningfulness of content for your audience. So now let's get back to those tenets. Number 5 best practice is make it sustainable. As your organization starts on this path, it is critical to have a flexible and extensible design for tagging content and features. You'll also need to have a repeatable way to identify employee attributes that are used to build the filters. Many of our clients have Active Directory for authentication. In some case, AD is correct and reasonably complete, making it straightforward and easy to tag each employee with the key attributes that will be used to drive content delivery. Most intranet projects then are going to include a full-scale import of AD for the initial launch of your intranet. But then this becomes part of an ongoing process as new employees are hired. Depending on how accurate your AD is, there may be a need for an ongoing update of employee attributes in the intranet. For example, to update the role or position of an employee. A promotion to manager might result in different or additional content and features on the intranet. Likewise, if an employee changes locations, geographically driven content will change also. Now you have employees identified with key attributes. The other side of the equation is actually tagging the content. You'll want to take advantage of categories already in use within the organization. For example, departments, business units, service lines. The design of the taxonomy should be thoughtful and reviewed by key stakeholders. You will also want to have governance around adding new values. You don't want anyone just defining a new department. The mechanics of implementing the taxonomy will be determined in large part by your CMS. Make sure that you have a platform that is both extensible and discrete enough in the way that content can be tagged. Most enterprise-level CMS tools provide a rich categorization scheme that can be configured to reflect your organization and metadata. In conclusion, spend the time to get it right. Design a taxonomy that makes it possible to personalize the content and features that are displayed for employees. Based on your intranet, an enterprise CMS that is flexible, extensible, and easy to update. So thank you, and I'm going to pause now to see if we have any questions. And it looks like we do. The first question is, you've talked about enterprise CMSs. What does that exactly mean? I'm really glad you asked. We actually devoted an entire webinar to how to pick the right CMS, so I'd encourage you to go back to our resources section and take a look at that. But at the end of the day, what we're talking about when we say enterprise CMS is really something, a class of CMSs that's in the commercial product realm. And coincidentally, just recently, Gartner announced its new Magic Quadrant for Web Content Management. It's a free report that you can download. I will include a link to it when I send out the email with this recording. But basically, it lays out a bunch of the CMSs. Often when we say the commercial ones, we're talking about things like Sitecore and Acquia and Kentico. But these CMSs basically have entire organizations that are designed to support and build an infrastructure that really accomplishes a lot of the goals and sets in place a lot of the mechanisms to let you have a truly global intranet. Okay, I'm going to pause. Let's see if there are any other questions. And it looks like that is it. So I want to thank you for your time. We will be back again next month, the first Tuesday, which will be November 1st. So set your clocks, same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you very much.